Technique is never existing by itself. It should include a whole complex of other skills, especially good developed ear, because the basic of technique is the sound production. Our goal is not to raise piano acrobats, but musicians, and technique should only help students, children, to develop a good sound, a good touch, so they can create a personal connection with that sound, with the piece, with the composer, and express their feelings on the piano. The most important the most essential skill all the pianists must have is how to switch easily and freely and quickly from tension to relaxation. And that's what majority of the students don't know how to do. That's why relaxation exercises, comparing the feel of tension and relaxation away from the piano, at the piano, are absolutely necessary. But young children do not know the reason and purpose for that. That's why we need to remember to do it in a form of game. While listening to beautiful classical music, so their body could find natural movements and could get the right feel and sensation of that relaxation that we need in playing the piano. The posture, I can't emphasize how important the posture is, and I follow the suggestions and analogies of Fyodor Leshetitsky, who was a student of Cherny. He compared the posture of a pianist with the posture of a horse rider. The horse rider should sit tall and unrestrained on the horse and yield to the movements of the horse, and we pianists have to yield to the musical melodies, lines, sitting balanced and centered, feeling three most important support points. One of them is sitting bones, of course. The other one is feet on the ground. That's how we distribute our weight to the feet. And third support point, our fingertips in the keys. Just like any skills, creating, developing correct posture takes time, because we need to create a habit. And that's why only paying attention to it as a lesson will not do much if student practices wrong at home. So for the first few months, I always ask the parents to send me videos and pictures of how students sit at home. And I pinpoint every single thing, starting from the height and distance, and the footstool, and the shape of the back. So parents will learn to correct it at home, because otherwise it will take a very long time to create a habit of sitting correctly at the piano, and might even be unsuccessful if the whole week students practice at home in the wrong posture. I do try to educate parents about correct posture, so they do pay attention at home too. While using the pedal, we need to keep the same posture. That's why having such a device as pedal extender is absolutely necessary. And it has to be good quality. So I would suggest to invest in a good pedal extender so it doesn't break or doesn't make noises when students press on the pedal, and comfortable in use. For young students, that's the next question about using the characters or toys. I do use them a lot. If you don't know, I created my own curriculum, Tales of a Musical Journey, where I use a story with characters that goes through the whole course of Tales of a Musical Journey, representing different musical concepts and technical skills. Young children cannot think with abstract concepts. They have to have a very vivid image in their head to remember and execute certain technique or remember certain theoretical concept. That's why I use a lot of toys and props, and you can definitely, if you're interested, you can find my YouTube channel, Irina Gorin, and another channel, Tales of a Musical Journey, and you can watch the videos of my lessons with young students using all kind of toys and props to help them. You cannot tell a 4-year-old move your wrist in vertical direction or horizontal direction, or rotate, or make your touch more refined. But if you use a little toy or analogy, like for example, I'll bring up here a quote by a famous pianist Joseph Levine. He said, "When you press the key, imagine a ripe strawberry sitting on the key, and you have to press through it." So I mean, this kind of analogies are absolutely necessary, even for advanced pianists, not only for young children, but young children, they're 100 times more important. About scales, I do teach scales, but not to youngest students. I start usually at the end of the first year of piano lessons or second year of piano lessons, and my students learn all the scales. We never use any books. They have to think, they have to play scales mindfully, not just read notes and finger numbers, to remember them and to be able to play them at any time, as well as understand key signatures and a lot of other theory concepts. But I do not ever use pentascales. I find them super confusing, especially for young children, because when child learns to play G major position 5-note scale, pentascale with no sharps, and then you need to explain that it has a sharp, for young children it makes it so much more complicated and confusing. So besides, I don't see any value in pentascales, technically or theoretically. So we just, as soon as kids are ready, we learn 7-note scales. Besides, the term scale means a series of 7 notes, not 5. Progression of different techniques or articulations, again following European approach, starting from Beethoven. We start with using our weight on the key and supporting our arm and the whole body on finger number 3. And starting with wrist breathing exercises that will be a base of all other techniques. In piano playing, each technical skill evolves from the previously learned ones. So vertical breathing exercises, vertical wrist exercises will bring understanding of correct non-legato. Mastering non-legato with one finger, starting from finger number 3 and then adding number 2, number 4, and only at the end number 5 and number 1, will help students understand the weight distribution and making a good tone. And then from that skill, 2-note slurs will naturally evolve. From 2-note slurs, we go to 3-note slurs, 4-note slurs, 5-note slurs, bigger phrases, and then staccato also evolves from the non-legato. Never starting from legato, because it has to involve very keen ear perception. Correct legato cannot be played without control of the ear, and we need time and playing and focusing on one note, one sound at a time to be able to connect 2 notes, 2 sounds, 3 sounds later. I feel the biggest mistakes majority of teachers do is approaching the teaching beginners with 5-finger patterns using isolated fingers, absolutely ignoring involvement of other parts of the body. And as I mentioned before, pianistic apparatus is the whole body, not only fingers and hands. And another mistake I feel, there is not enough ear training involved in the lessons. Listening to music, we cannot expect our students to like classical music if they don't hear it, and they don't have many chances to hear it at home, so they at least need to hear it at the lessons. And we need to teach them to listen actively, to not just hear music on the background as a noise, but to be able to analyze some elements of it. So teaching to listen, teaching to differentiate the sounds, analyze, create images, stories reflected in drawings, paintings. This is all has to be a part of musical upbringing besides technique. So it's a complex. So those are my thoughts very briefly. Of course, there is a lot more to say, but I hope it will give some teachers food for thought, and I'll be happy to explain in more details